With just a few days to the December 7th elections, we invited you here to draw your attention to some critical developments that have a bearing on the conduct of a free, fair, transparent, and credible election. Ladies and gentlemen, the conduct of a free, fair, transparent, and credible election is not an event, but a process. Therefore, the processes leading to the conduct of elections must be fair, transparent, and inclusive to engender trust among stakeholders. Unfortunately, this has not been the case. The Jane Mensah-led Electoral Commission continues to disregard political actors in decision-making on critical issues regarding the elections. It is common knowledge that until recently, Ghana's Electoral Commission was among the most well-respected election management bodies in the world under the leadership of Drs. Kojo Afriyie and Madame Charlotte Osei. Unfortunately, the credibility of the Commission began to decline when President Akufo-Addo supervised the forced removal of Mrs. Charlotte Osei from office and appointed Mrs. Jane Mensah and Dr. Bosman Asare, who are both perceived to be sympathizers of his party. Jane Mensah is in fact a direct relative of the First Lady, Rebecca Akufo-Addo. Since their appointment, various actions by Jane Mensah and Bosman Asare confirm that they are not neutral and they were appointed to do the bidding of President Akufo-Addo and the MPP. Our suspicions on the part of the leadership of the EC were confirmed at page 13 of the 2019 Human Rights Report issued by the United States Department of State. And I'm quoting from the US Department of State, so listen carefully, please. This is not me, this is the United States Department of State. It says the June ouster of the Electoral Commission chairperson and the President's subsequent filling of the position with persons considered to be biased in favor of the ruling party raised questions about whether the body might be used to stifle registration in areas of support for the opposition. So, as I was saying, indeed, subsequent events have confirmed the agenda by the leadership of the EC and the MPP. Number one, disregard for the Inter-Party Advisory Committee of IPAC. Ladies and gentlemen, over the years, the Electoral Commission successfully institutionalized time-tested mechanisms that help to build trust among political and other stakeholders throughout the electioneering process to ensure free, fair, transparent elections has been jettisoned. In the past, the EC always consulted and involved IPAC in taking major decisions on critical matters related to elections, including the drafting of various election-related laws. Unfortunately, the Jane Mensah-led administration has abandoned the consensus building to take unilateral decisions on important matters of elections. IPAC has now been reduced to an information sharing forum where only EC communications or EC communicates its decisions to the rest of us without taking into account our views in making such critical decisions. The intransigence of the Jane Mensah-led commission is unbelievable. On various occasions, when the National Democratic Congress wrote to the EC on pertinent issues requesting for information, the EC flagrantly disregarded those letters without any reply. And I can cite copious examples when we asked for the 30,000 extra names, when copious of so many of them. Myself, the director of IT, the general secretary himself, we asked for information, not even the courtesy of a reply. It is with this same arrogance that she exhibited by ignoring invitations by the National House of Chiefs to brief the House on matters related to the compilation of the voters' register, and disregard for the invitation to brief Parliament on the state of preparedness for the 2020 elections. The Jane Mensah-led EC, with the tacit support of Akufo-Addo, also disregarded the imposition of restrictions, act, and executive instruments to embark on public activities that were banned as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. You recall that Sam George went to court and got them to stop a conference in Pram Pram, and yet they brought the same conference and at the same conditions to Accra to come and do, with support from national security. That is not all. The Jane Mensah-led EC has no regards for our courts too. She told the people of Ghana that the Electoral Commission's decision to compile a new register was based on recommendations from a technical assessment of the current register by a consultant. The NDC officially requested that the Electoral Commission publishes the report of the consultant, but they failed to do so. Consequently, the Honourable Member of Parliament for Ashaman, Ndc'S, instructed his lawyers to apply for a copy of the said report per the Freedom of Information Act, but the Electoral Commission failed to release a copy of the report to him. Mr. Nogbe subsequently secured a court order to compel the EC to release the report. The EC, however, appealed the decision at the High Court. When the High Court dismissed the appeal as unmeritorious, the Commission repeated the appeal at the Court of Appeal, which also failed. So they lost at the High Court, they lost at the Appeal Court. But as we speak now, the court ordered, give us the document that formed the basis. As of today, the EC is in continuous breach of the order of the court to release the said report. Rule of law, indeed. From the above developments, we have come to one and only one conclusion, that no such report exists, and as characteristics of Jane Mensah's leadership, she blatantly deceived Ghanaians that the EC's decision was based on recommendations by experts. As we have always maintained, the overriding reason for spending the $140 million to compile a new register, even in the face of a deadly pandemic, was to facilitate the re-election agenda of the failed and corrupt Akufo-Addo and his MPP government. So clearly, the EC has shown that they are above the law and therefore have no regard for any institution in this country. But we don't blame them to continue to act this way because they have the support of the one who appointed them, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the President of Ghana. This has created a credibility crisis for the Electoral Commission. Ladies and gentlemen, Jane Mensah's leadership has created irreparable credibility crisis for the Commission. Over the past 3 years, we have had cause to raise concerns on the conduct and posturing of the Electoral Commission. Ghanaians are witnesses to the comedies of errors and convoluted justifications the EC gave for the compilation of the new voters' register after the EC itself confirmed that the register was credible for the 2019 district-level elections. The sudden decision of the Commission to compile a new register was highly suspicious, and when it was obvious that it was needless, they insisted on spending about $140 million of the taxpayers' money to embark on such a project. This same Jane Mensah told Ghanaians that the EC would accept the old voter ID card as a source document. You remember, we had this heated press conference. We showed you documents, slide 27 of their own documents. They stated clearly and unambiguously that they were going to accept the old voter ID as a source document, and suddenly they made a U-turn and said that would not be accepted and that the Ghana card was going to be the one that was going to be accepted, without any rational justification or explanation. So that is the track record of the EC, and it's important that we contextualize the kind of EC we are dealing with as we are going into this election. They write their own Bible and they deny their own Bible and Quran. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the justifications the Electoral Commission gave for the compilation of the new register was the need to eliminate manual verification from the voting process. Even though the biometric verification devices performed at a rate of 99.4% in the 2019 district level elections, with only 0.6% of voters verified manually, the EC insisted that the number was high and hence the new system would perform better. In addition to this, the EC informed Ghanaians that they would introduce facial recognition technology to verify those who cannot be verified biometrically. What the EC sold to Ghanaians was that the new system will not permit manual verification. And let me quote the Commissioner's own words. The Commission invited 2 information technology consultants, this is Madam J. Mensah, including the biometric consultant who had advised the Commission in 2011 when the decision was taken to go biometric. Both consultants confirmed the report of the STL and their partners, HSB. Distinguished members of the press, the current biometric verification device is unable to verify a number of voters electronically, resulting in a high number of manual verification on voting day. This compromises the integrity of the election. This is the EC speaking at the time. NIST studies have shown that image quality has a direct impact on identification match accuracy. Poor fingerprint image quality can have the following negative impacts in an EFIS system. The current solution does not have a facial recognition. Additionally, the current architecture of the system is such that a facial recognition add-on cannot be added. The new solution will have a facial recognition as an additional feature for those whose fingers cannot be verified. This will remove the current rising trend of manual verification, which tends to compromise the integrity and credibility of our elections. Let us present you with some statistics. So they went on and presented that in the just ended district assembly elections, out of a total of 5,413,902, 34,843 were manually verified. So out of 5,431,902, 34,843 were manually verified. And that this is a significant number which can determine the winner of an election. If you recall, they're saying the 2008 difference between the winner and the first runner-up was less than 42,000 votes. The inclusion of facial recognition will immediately eliminate manual verification and will ensure that the will of the people stands and that every vote counts. So this is easy, 2019. Okay, saying why we don't need manual verification because of what? 34,843,000 out of 5,531,900. So this is the easy. And then we go full circle. As characteristics of the J. Mensah's leadership, she made another U-turn on this by announcing that manual verification will be allowed in the 2020 elections. Did you hear? After all these justifications, quoting sources, documents, why we don't need manual verification of less than 35,000 was problematic and could compromise a district assembly elections. She now does full circle in 2020, a few weeks before the elections, and says now we are going to do manual verification. What is the basis? Number 2, the EC gave every assurance that the voters' registration exercise will be successful. Unfortunately, we all saw what happened. The registration exercise was fraught with numerous challenges: multiple registration, duplicate serial numbers, faulty equipment, missing names from the register, and above all, the unprecedented violence and even deaths that characterized the exercise. As part of the comedy of inconsistencies that dent the credibility of the EC earlier on announced that the result of the elections will be announced by the 10th of December. How many of you remember? In another dramatic departure from this announcement, Dr. Sribo Kwaku subsequently announced on the 18th of November that the results will be declared by close of day on 8th December, barely 24 hours after close of polls. Ordinarily, somebody, well, if they finish the elections earlier, you declare. What's wrong with that? But you see, therein lies the problem. What is the basis for this claim? What mechanisms and structures and systems and processes have you put in place to ensure that this claim that you are making, you'll be able to meet it without having any problems? How does it work in practical terms? Because it's a process. Elections are declared at the polling station. Those results move from the polling station to the constituency collation center. From the constituency collation center, you have now created another layer, you claim, at the regional level. Then from the regional level, it will now go to the national level. And especially for the presidential ballot, the Electoral Commissioner herself is supposed to be the chief returning officer. Now, at every constituency, before a presiding officer will declare that Akwesi or Ajwa has won in a constituency, that returning officer must be able to see all the results, certified results, each one of them, from every polling station, and then say, this person has won. By this process, is she telling her that she's going to see every single result from all the 275 constituencies before she declares, she makes a declaration? Can't we see the danger here? Is she going to rely on only 16 regions? So you see, they are creating another unrealistic expectation. And then when the day comes and by that time they are not able to, what will they do? Are they going to force numbers? Are they going to cook numbers? Are they just going to announce any other thing at all just because they want to meet an unrealistic 24-hour timeline? Who forced them? These are the things that they do, and they create problems for everybody. Nobody has put a gun to their head. It is important to have timely results, but it is better to have accurate, truthful results that reflect what the people voted for. And we will not take anything less than that. We need accurate results that reflect what the people have voted for, not any churned out results based on any 24-hour pressure. It's completely unacceptable. We have also gathered intelligence that returning officers have been asked to focus on the results of the presidential elections and send them ahead of that of the parliamentary elections. If this is true, then the EC is heading all of us into doom and disaster. When results are counted at the polling station, they count presidential, they count parliamentary, tallied, filled, goes to the collation center, they are sorted, filled, everything, and declared there. We have never had a situation where you say, send the presidential first. All those hanky-panky, we are watching them. It's not going to happen. Now, there's also an emerging issue, names of security personnel omitted from special voting list. We held on for a long time from commenting on this matter because you know our security services are very, very sensitive. And we didn't just want to get them involved in our daily political battles. But after exhaustive checks, we can confirm, and same is true, and it's been confirmed by many, many other parties, including people like independent security analyst Adam Bona and co., that indeed, of a fact, and we have facts to back, across the country, they are not isolated incidences. Several security personnel have had their names omitted from the special voters list. Ladies and gentlemen, the NDC wishes to salute all our gallant security officers for their excellent roles in the consolidation of our democracy. Each election year, we rely on them to provide security and ensure peace before, during, and after the elections. We have no doubt that we can rely on our officers in uniform to deliver another peaceful elections. We are, however, concerned about intelligent reports of infiltration of the security agencies by members of vigilante groups who are giving our otherwise professional security agencies a bad name. We wish to urge our men in uniform to boldly arrest and expose any persons suspected not to be members of the service who will be deployed for election duties on election day. We also urge our men in uniform to stay true to the Constitution and disregard any unlawful orders during this election. We are concerned about reports of a deliberate attempt to sideline and frustrate some officers who will be deployed for election duties on the 7th of December. The names of a good number of such officers have been omitted from the special voters list, even though their names were submitted for this purpose. Rather, names of MPP activists and parliamentary candidates and other persons who are not even security officers found their way onto the list. This information was corroborated, among other sources, by a story published on the 18th November 2020 on Ghana Web, attributed to Mr. Adam Bona, with the title 2020 Elections, Over 60 Security Personnel Omitted from Special Voters List. And as I said, we've gone even beyond him. We've checked the security persons themselves, their families, friends, contacts. It's there. Now, so you ask yourself, so who are the people on the list then? If the very security people are not on the list, then who are the people who now find themselves on the so-called security services list? Does it not lend credence to the fact that they've tried to infiltrate the security services list with their so-called vigilante groups? Our suspicion is that it is a deliberate ploy by government to influence the National Election Security Task Force to sideline security personnel and rather use the militias they have trained to cause mayhem. We are therefore calling on the Inspector General of Police, who is the chairman of the National Election Security Task Force, to take immediate steps to resolve the issue by ensuring that all security personnel who will be deployed for election duties are placed on the special voters list. We also call on the Electoral Commission to publish the special voters list for all Ghanaians to see. This will help ascertain the fact that only persons who have election-related duties are placed on the special voters list. A major complaint leading to the establishment of the commission was the allegation of the reckless use of guns by the MARC SWAT team from the national security establishment. The preponderance of evidence given in oral testimonies and video footages reviewed by the commission shows that there were gunshots by the men deployed by the national security establishment, and these were done ostensibly to control and intimidate the crowd which had formed at the frontage of the residence of the candidate of the Ndc'S, a property which was located in an area close to the electoral grounds. Ladies and gentlemen, these thugs that were deployed by Mr. Brian Echampong in the name of national security visited untold violence on innocent Ghanaians through gunshots and physical assaults, rendering many of them injured. The Commission further observed as follows. The Commission's visit to the locus inco, that's to the place, and this examination of the layout, structures, and fixtures in the environment, including trees impacted, showed that there were many incidents of gunshots, and they go on and on and on and talked about all the things. Then it says, further to this, the Commission finds that the warning shots fired were so done in reckless disregard for the safety of persons in the vicinity of this highly built-up area. The Commission based its conclusions on the injuries sustained by the persons on the scene, in addition to the trajectory of bullets' flights and impact on adjoining structures and fixtures, including a hairdressing salon in a nearby country. And it goes on and on and on. Let me read the last part. The Commission finds that the guns were not aimed at the skies, as the latter would have resulted in the bullets being ejected upwards before returning to the earth with a point force. So they were actually shooting at people. They wanted to kill and maim people. In fact, there's an aspect of it that many people don't know. They had axes. Axe. How do you call axe in people? Kuma. Ekuma. How? We showed it to the international community. They said, are you sure this happened? Is this your own video production? It happened in Ghana. And nothing has happened to them. So if we are going into an election and the Minister of National Security comes to tell us, oh, we're asking, what have you done with this one? This is your own government commission report. We want to know. Then we will have some assurance that what you are telling us, we should take it serious, or it's just mere words. Secondly, the seemingly trigger-happy attitude showed reflects a direct failure on the part of the commander in charge of the SWAT team, DSP Azugu, to maintain command and control of the SWAT team and ensure the upholding of the highest professional standards in the maintenance of law and order pursuant to the mission which they were sent. The ensuing chaos was a direct result of his responsibility, failure of his responsibility as a commander of the group who were meant to be on an intelligence-led mission. And what did the commission say? They said DSP Azugu ought to know members who were the members of his team, and he ought to be disciplined. What has happened to him? He has been promoted, right? True or false? You won't talk. He has been promoted. The man who led this onslaught, where the state institution commissioned by the government says the person must be dealt with, has rather been promoted. What signal do you think you are sending? So if the same government now comes, Minister of National Security comes to tell you, oh, we have put mechanisms in place, they want us to believe them and take them at face value? And this is your job. We are raising the issues. Media, you must raise it. Why is it that DSP Azugu has been promoted? The people mentioned in the report, Brian Echampo, why has it not been sanctioned according to the report? DSP Azugu, Kenolopoku, these are names, and they are part of the security architecture. They have been emboldened because they want to repeat. Ladies and gentlemen, 3 good years after that dastardly incident, Akufo-Addo is yet to implement a single recommendation of the Commission. Therefore, our position is that if the Minister for National Security and the IGP want us to take them serious, the first thing we expect from them is to provide an update to Ghanaians on the state of implementation of the Emil Short Commission, including sanctions of the culprits and other reports. Let me remind you of some of the recommendations, as I've mentioned them in passing. Double Akumia, he said he must face criminal prosecution. Nothing has happened. The Commission recommended criminal prosecution by Mohammed Suleiman, the guy who slapped Sam George. Nothing has happened. The Commission recommended immediate removal of DSP Azugu from command responsibility from the SWAT team. It hasn't happened. The Commission recommended the reprimand of Colonel Mike Opoku for being ultimately responsible for the outcome of the SWAT operation that day. Is here, black and white. Nothing has happened. It recommended Colonel Opoku to release the weapons that were used and help in investigations. Nothing has happened. The Commission reported that Mr. Brian Echampo be reprimanded for ultimate responsibility as minister in authorizing an operation of that character on the day of an election in that built-up area. Not only has he not been reprimanded, he has been reassigned to the Ministry of Interior in charge of security for the elections. So did we go or did we come? So the security situation in the country remains volatile and bizarre, even though the failed, corrupt, and dishonest Akufo-Addo government has the highest number of appointees in the security sector in Ghana's history. It is common knowledge that just as Akufo-Addo did in opposition, by actively mobilizing and forming vigilante groups across the country, and went ahead to bring in South Africans to train them, this same Akufo-Addo has facilitated the training of many vigilante groups across the country for deployment to intimidate voters and cause mayhem, especially in opposition strongholds, to suppress votes and to also chase out our polling agents from polling stations in their strongholds. We have observed with keen interest how Akufo-Addo is busily finding excuses for a heavy deployment of security personnel to the Volta region in particular, through a charade of state-sponsored disturbances in the Volta region, purportedly done by the rather Homeland Study Group led by an 80-something-year-old man who can barely walk. The grand strategy, as we have uncovered, is to cause mayhem in the region, to cause fear among the electorate in the region, as a voter suppression strategy, and use same as justification for heavy security deployment in the region before elections to cause fear and panic among voters, again with the ultimate aim of suppressing votes. It is for this reason that the IGP announced in October that more security personnel will be deployed to the Volta region. We wish to inform the IGP that we are aware of plans and there are videos circulating all over, a lot of information. Ghanaians are hungry for change. You know, one of the things you can deduce when change is coming is that there's a lot of info. Anything that people do in secret, it comes out. Then you know change is coming. Aware of plans to give police uniforms to vigilante groups to pose as police officers for deployment in the Volta region and other places, and wish to advise him that it is in his best interest and the interest of the police to abandon such plans. He personally may not be part of it, but he has the mechanism and the system to stop it if he really wants to, because posterity will judge him. We are sending a stern warning to people who are not police officers, but allow themselves to be used to cause mayhem in the Volta region and other parts of the country. We wish to encourage the people of the Volta region to remain fearless throughout this electioneering period. You haven't committed any crime. It's not a crime to be a Voltarian. It's not a crime to come from any part of Ghana. You haven't done anything. You don't know any homeland, any crap, nonsense, anything. Focus, go out there, come out there and vote. Or be bold, come out and vote. They will be deployed for the security personnel who will be deployed for election duties are supposed to protect the ballot and ensure peace and not to harm you. So any security person who is doing contrary is not a correct security person, true or false? What is the work of a security person on election day? So we have set up a citizen arrest task force everywhere to hand over any suspicious characters together with the regular police that will be deployed any part of to this country. Collaborate with the proper police. The proper police, they are there to help you. They want the right thing. They want peace. All we want is 7th, 8th December, we are still in Ghana. Peace. Period. That's all we want. So collaborate with the correct people. Anybody who comes there, attempts to snatch a ballot box, attempts to cause confusion, that person is a thief. That person is a threat to our democracy. He must be dealt with accordingly. Let the regular police grab that person. In addition, we call on the Christian community in the Volta region to pray against any such disturbances. Adherents of African traditional religion should equally call on their deities to protect them from any harm that may be caused before, during, and after the elections. Now, we woke up a couple of days ago to realize that the Electoral Commission published sensitive data of all registered voters in breach of the Data Protection Act and their right to privacy. This singular, irresponsible conduct of the Electoral Commission has the potential of exposing voters to criminals. Now, the EC, in defending such illegal acts, says the law enjoins the EC to publish the voters' register, and that's what they have done. You see, sometimes when you think that only you have sense, you create problems for yourself and for everybody. There's a world of a difference between the law that says publish the voters' register. They've given us copies. The voters' register comes in a particular form. That is different from making the data behind the register available. So that's what we are saying. You can publish your register, but the data behind the register has been, is out there in the public domain. It's not secure. There are processes, systems, and processes that one has to go through before you can access such sensitive data. All that data is out there now. And your answer is, oh, the law says you should publish it. The law didn't say you should publish data. The law says publish the register. The two are not the same. But again, some people think they are the only ones who went to school. Now, you know that we are a country governed by laws. 7th, 8th, 9th December, we believe we will win the elections. And John Mahama is going to be the next president of Ghana. We believe. That's what we believe. We know. I mean, God has removed his hand from the man. From Akufo-Addo. So, you know, once that happens, everything else will fall in place. So, now, we have a Transitional Act. Section 6.1 of the Presidential Transition Act 2012, Act A45 states, and I quote, "The office of the President shall prepare a set of comprehensive handing over notes covering the term of office of the President as the executive authority under Article 58 of the Constitution." You know? And it says the original and 5 other copies of the handing over notes shall be presented to the Administrator General appointed under Section H2 not later than 30 days before the dates of the presidential elections. Bajo, can I again? Yeah. Okay. Akufo-Addo's failure to activate the transition process. Because you see, after every election, there's a transition process. It's a change. The government has 4 years. Every government has 4 years. But the MPP government, NDC government. So it's either MPP to MPP, which will not happen, or MPP to NDC, which is going to happen, which I believe. I have a right to say what I believe, right? Good. So the law states that whichever way it is, there's a provision. It's called the Presidential Transition Act 2012. Act A45. It says the office of the President shall set out a comprehensive handing over notes covering the term of office of the President as the executive authority under Article 58 of the Constitution. And Section 6.4 of the Act states that the original and 5 other copies of the handing over notes shall be presented to the Administrator General appointed under Section H2, not later than 30 days before the date of the presidential election. So first of all, the handing over notes from all ministries, departments, and agencies, from the Chief of Staff, the President, his Vice President, all his ministers, all handing over notes. It says 30 days. Where is it? Who is the Administrator General? Who is facilitating that process? It's a constitutional imperative. Who is in charge of that? What is happening? And we are less than 30 days before the election. And we don't even know who the Administrator General is, or what processes have been activated to start this. Because the transition will happen anyway. Yeah. It is exactly 11 days to elections. And President Akufo-Addo, who prides himself as a Democrat, who believes in the rule of law, has failed to comply with this act. We also have information that the Administrator General has retired, but a new one has not been appointed. We are calling on President Akufo-Addo to trigger the transition process by preparing his handing over notes and also appoint a new Administrative General to oversee the transition process within 24 hours after the declaration of results. It's important. It's a constitutional imperative. We're in a democracy. We work through structures, systems, processes, and procedures. So that is important. The transitional issues are important. Ladies and gentlemen, otherwise you'll be like somebody, you delay transition, and people are dying left, right, center, before you wake up one day and say, okay, I feel them happening. It's not about you happening. It's about the will of the people. Once the people speak, you don't have a choice. You know? To conclude, ladies and gentlemen, I wish to state that there is no power that can stop and determine people from removing a bad government. There's no power on this earth, there's no power under the earth, there's no power in the heavens, there's no power in the atmosphere, there's no man, no woman, no devil, there's nothing, absolutely nothing that can stop and determine people from removing a bad government. All we need to do is to finish hard. We have come this far. Trials, difficulties, challenges, determination. And we have pushed on. Let's keep on pushing. In Akufo-Addo's own words, the democracy we fought for gives us the right to elect a government every 4 years. And it provides us with an opportunity to hold our government accountable and renew a mandate or throw them out after 4 years. No government has an automatic right to be elected twice. We should not give government a sense of the right to be elected twice unless they perform and unless they deliver on the promises they made while seeking our vote. It is evident that Akufo-Addo's family and friends government has failed, and nothing can save them from the wrath of Ghanaians come December 7th. What cannot change is the will of the people expressed through the ballot box. And everyone, including Madam Jane Mensah and the EC, are required to ensure that only the will of the people prevails. The EC has created a credibility crisis for itself, but it is not too late for them to redeem themselves by ensuring that the will of the people is manifested on that day. The government and the EC must ensure compliance with international norms and practices, and we are pleased to note that international observers are present to observe our elections, our electoral processes. Therefore, no one is going to run away from this country after creating any confusion and violence. Nobody is getting any visa to go anywhere. To him who has ears to hear, let them hear. If you are wise and you see signs, you will see. You will not get any visa to go anywhere. Oh. So it is in our collective interest for all of us to remain here, ensure a peaceful, free, fair election. We all live here in harmony as peaceful Ghanaians. You will not cause confusion and run away and take your children. It ain't going to happen. All stakeholders must ensure that there is peace before, during, and after the elections. We urge all Ghanaians to be patriotic and courageous by coming out in their numbers to vote and ensure that only their sovereign will prevails at the end of the elections. It is not enough to vote. We must ensure that our vote is protected. We must remain vigilant until the last ballot is counted and results declared. Our forefathers paid a price to attain independence. Others fought for a multi-party democracy. This is the price we must pay to protect our democracy. Thank you very much.